Welkom in het Europees Parlement. Welkom bij alweer een nieuwe aflevering van Europese Gesprekken met Barbara en Gerolf. Uw duidingsprogramma om meer te weten te komen over Europa en haar werking. Vandaag alweer met een nieuwe speciale gast, niemand minder dan Markus Buchheit. Mr. Buchheit, welcome. You're a German politician, serving as a member of Alternative for Deutschland. You studied law and political science. I'm going to read it because it's quite a lot. You worked for some time at a French-German law firm in Strasbourg and Paris. In 2016, you joined Alternative for Deutschland, and in May 2019, you were elected as a member of the European Parliament. Is that correct?
That's correct. Having in mind what you're talking about, first of all, I was afraid you would continue in Flemish, so I'm quite happy. You switched to English then. Having in mind what we are about to talk about today, because I had a little guess about that before, I think it's important to mention I was member of the CDU before I came to AFD. No, that's an interesting side aspect.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a switch that many people made.
Exactly.
And why did you make the switch?
You want to be that fast already?
Mr. Buchheit, I have a question for you. So my first question is, what are the goals, the objectives of your party, Alternative for Deutschland?
Well, I think if you want to break it down, and we have a time restriction here today, I think it's important for us to bring our country back to a pragmatic road. While we see it's being led into an ideological one during the last years, you might say, well, that already started with the era Merkel. Merkel is an ever-dominating figure still in Germany, not because she would still be present. I suppose she has this house in Paraguay, as some people say. Sometimes she appears here and there.
Far away.
Far, far away. But her ideas and her politics are still there. And these are still politics to the detriment of our country and our people.
Can you explain that a little bit more to our viewers? What do you mean by that? What do you mean with the fact her ideas are still there?
Let's switch to why I switched from the CDU to the AFD. We can connect everything. Because I was in 2013 still working at the CSU headquarters in Munich, and we had a combined campaign, which was the Landtagswahlen in Bavaria, together with the federal elections in Berlin. No? And already back then you had big changes. That was the abolishment, for example, of military service. That was 2011, the Fukushima incident in Japan with the tsunamis that suddenly led to the fact of us in Germany getting rid of our nuclear power plants because the tsunami risk is so high in Germany, as you know, probably on the River Rhine or something. We had lots of things that were not necessarily typical for a formerly conservative party like the CSU or CDU was. You might even discuss gay marriage, for example. I'm not opposing that, but I just question, there was no talk inside the party about this. And then surely this all led to 2015 and the open border politics. That was the final catastrophe for the country. So you had basically a completely eroded party from the inside, which was the CDU, the former right-wing party in Germany, and the CSU as a counterpart in Bavaria, which was not existent anymore because the people that were leading the party were gotten rid of by Mrs. Merkel. You know, she killed everyone back there. And so there was no more right-wing politics in Germany. AFD was founded in 2013. I was working already for an Austrian party, the FPÖ, in Brussels, and thus I then switched sides, stayed true to myself, remained a conservative and right-wing guy, and was then part of the AFD.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think of that story? If you hear that German story, that German side, that German party,
the whole story of the European Union these days is based on what happened in Germany. Germany took the lead in everything for many years, also in the destruction of Europe as a continent, as a civilization territory. And Germany started the destruction. Merkel started the destruction, and many people also in Flanders know where this started and so-called, in a peaceful way, hate Merkel for it.
we see also the consequences, like in Flanders, for example, we had the closure also of the nuclear power plants. We had, but yeah, now they are realizing, oh, we cannot be without it, so they try to reopen it. But yeah, it's
too late.
It's too late. Yes. Then we have, of course, the massive immigration problem. Yeah, when you walk around here in Brussels, you can see it. It's a disaster. More and more people are realizing it. So what it has been done in our continent. So it's very bad for us.
But when I came in European Parliament, you were already there for the Austrians, but I saw how this party of professors against the Eurozone reluctantly started to become a political alternative for this, what happened at the CDU side. It took many years, Frauke Petri, etc. I mustn't mention all that.
Names that
we had alliances with them, but it all failed. But nevertheless, it happened rapidly, like the destruction of Germany. Also, the foundation and the blossoming of the AfD happened in only 10 years, whereas parties like ours, it took 20, 25, 30 years.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry if I may, at one essential last point here, it was, first of all, the Alternative for Germany was created out of a necessity. There was a vacuum there, that's one thing. And the second thing is, what we often see, and which is which is a tendency I cannot explain to myself. There is this suicidal tendency in societies, which we see. I thought in the beginning it was because of our fate in Germany, Second World War and everything, our special bad heritage from the time. But then you go to Holland or to the Netherlands, you see it's the same. You go to Belgium, you go to Flanders, you go to Sweden. Imagine Sweden. All these guys have this suicidal tendency inside themselves to kill their civilization.
Yes, perhaps there is something philosophical to think about, but no doubt the European Union as a mechanism functioned as
a catalyst.
A catalyst. And it speeded up the process, I'm afraid.
When you see now what's happening with the Green Deal, for example, it's also, when you see what's happening to the German economy, to the German industry, the car manufacturing, the plants, it's really
I think about here, where we are right now, Brussels, Volvo, for example.
Yes,
huh?
Maybe
exactly
it sounds annoying, but it's a question. You are telling me, or you are telling the viewers, Merkel, destruction, Merkel. Can you explain that on a very transparent way to our viewers? What do you mean with destruction, Merkel destruction?
To whom goes the question? To me?
To you, of course.
If you see what is our identity, we were talking, obviously, we had votes in Hungary recently, so we were talking about that, what went wrong there and stuff. It's always about problems. What problems do we have in Germany right now? They are, for a large part, identical to your problems here right now. Migration is the ever-dominating problem here of our society, in our inner cities, to our culture, to everything we are and we want to be, to our peoples. That's the first thing. Who started that? It wasn't Merkel who started it, but she said, let's keep the doors wide open, invite the people to come here. First thing. So that is the societal question, the civilizational question. The economic question, you asked it already, the Green Deal. Ursula von der Leyen, the one who is behind the Green Deal, the one who called the Green Deal the European Man on the Moon project. Which party does she come from? She comes from the CDU, from Merkel's party. She's a genesis from Merkel. She made her big, you know. She's here because Merkel was there before. So she is responsible for our civilizational destruction as well as for our economical destruction.
Both.
And one thing cannot be without the other. I mean, obviously, we can live in an empty hall here and say everything is beautiful. I have my kebab store here. I have it as well in Bavaria. I have my barbershop here in Brussels. There will be no distinction anymore where I am right now. And I see that already happening. Tell you a big secret. I go to Spain not because I want to go to the next kebab store or to the next barbershop. I can have that all here or in Bavaria. I go there because I like the Spanish culture, say. Yeah. So this is all something, this big, if you want to say, if you want to put it to the metaphysical level again, this big equalizer, you know, the one who said, wir schaffen das, we will make it, don't worry, calm down, everything is perfect. That was Merkel. And she was also the one, the tranquilizer for a whole society who said, no, don't worry. And it worked for a long time, especially the German economy, who in large parts responsible for the whole development for both sides. That was them who were tranquilized by Angela Merkel. You know, the numbers were fine in the beginning. She was also the one, we haven't touched the topic yet. If you think about Nord Stream and cheap energy from Russia, That was funny enough not the AFD who said we make a monopoly onto Russian gas. It was the CDU. It would have been our idea to say, okay, we have Russian gas, but we just as well have gas from Uzbekistan, from Tajikistan, from down there, from who says the Scandinavia, for example, that we diversify. That would have been our aspect. It was Merkel who said, no, we go only with Uncle Vladimir, no?
Yeah.
We should never, it's only a detail, a historical detail, but you should never forget that she was an East German girl coming from communism, educated under communism. And
having been to Moscow.
Disaster was there.
Okay.
Turning Europe to the EU SSR.
Okay.
She had that picture in mind.
That was a very clear answer.
From time to time we say EU SSR, but there's no surprise.
No.
Okay. Something totally different. The famous firewall. Again, for our viewers, what does the firewall mean?
You don't know. You don't remember your cordon sanitaire here. So it is basically just the German adoption of what you had here as your cordon sanitaire, which also failed, by the way, and so is the German firewall too, which is called the Brandmauer. So that is based, on paper you might think it's a creation of the CDU, you know, where the CDU says, no, we cannot collaborate with these guys from the right-hand side, they are too extremist. You can put whatever argumentation in there. Right now it's because they are too extremist, they are too right-wing for us, they are anti-democrats, they are what, I mean, I love to be an anti-democrat, but it's easier to get into a list, you know.
The classic one.
The classic ones. However, what does the firewall do? It prohibits CDU from collaborating with us. It doesn't work anymore on the low levels. Let's say on regional levels, for example, this has already failed. You see it's breaking down. It doesn't work anymore. You saw it breaking down here in Brussels as well already.
Many times.
Many times already. And we will see it very, very soon in Berlin as well. The point is, who is actually behind this Brandmauer? Who is in interest? Cui bono, if you want. And that is not the CDU, obviously. It's maybe the left-wing guys inside the CDU.
No doubt.
But it's the socialists and the communists who want to prohibit, because you see it
Greens,
already in the
Greens.
I put them among communists.
Their chances of surviving.
Exactly. Who say, okay, there is a majority for a right-wing pragmatic course in Germany, because I'm a nice guy, I include CDU now with this. But there is a majority for that. We regularly have 55%. We would have this majority here in the House as well.
Several
but
times,
by putting a moral aspect to all this thing, the left tries to divide the right wing there.
Okay. But the exclusion of certain parties, is that compatible with democratic principles, or what do you think about that? Maybe I'm going to start with Jeroen.
Well, I always say, as one of the most experienced members here in the House with cordon sanitaire, because I've lived under it since 1987, I always say they don't kill the possibility for a right-wing majority. Not only that, they also kill their democracy, because democracy lives by the possibility of the people to introduce new ideas. If you block these ideas for any reason, politically mainly, but any other reason is also good. If you block it, you block your democracy, the oxygen that a democracy needs as a system that introduces new ideas through the vote of the people. They are killing their democracy. So if they then all of a sudden panic because the people don't understand anymore what we are doing here in our parliament, it's their own fault, because they falsified the system that was great in principle.
Yeah, Barbara?
Yeah, and they do everything what's in their power also to establish that that cordon sanitaire. What they did, for example, to condemn Vlaams Blok, our successor in 2004, they even changed the constitution to be able to get us into the court, and so to be able to condemn us. So it was.
It also creates unthinkable disasters, like the human relations between members of parliament, the human relations of people that can't find a job because they were on a list of Vlaams Blok.
But that has improved, I suppose, no? At least in Germany it has. Here as well. It hasn't improved yet? You still
No.
We still have
It's still dangerous.
No, the labor
it's
unions.
It's a social condemnation also.
Yes.
Still, and that's a step too far, of course. But it works like that. My son, who by accident has the same name as I. I was not in politics, so it was stupid of mine. But nevertheless, he has my first name. He had tremendous trouble to find a job because he had the name of his father.
Incredible.
Yeah,
talking about moral, you see.
Okay. Yeah.
It's far beyond politics. That's moral. Moral
it
exclusion.
is about the destruction.
The guys about the inclusion, they commit a crime against their inclusion principles.
Barbara?
Yeah, well, I want to say something about the labor unions, because you have to be a member of a labor union to have your allocations when you are without a job. But when they discover that you are a member of Vlaams Belang, they just throw you out of the labor union.
Trade unions, people that were on Vlaams Belang lists, the day after the election, they make a list of these people and send them a letter that they are excluded from the trade union, even in jobs where the trade union membership is necessary.
Unbelievable.
But Belgium is the worst. Believe me, Belgium is the first.
Very own topic. You shouldn't join a trade union.
Yeah, of course. It's a lawful punishment. But in few jobs, you people morally are member of a trade union just because they can't get a job otherwise.
Markus, how does the EU deal with right-wing parties such as the Alternative for Deutschland? How do they act? How do they...
Well, you heard it maybe, how it was when Alice Weidel, the head of one of the two heads of our party, wanted to discuss that with Musk on X at the time already. There was the rumor that there were 120 clerks here from the European Commission employed. It was just a rumor. I think it was never really certain if that was really the case. 120 people watching this discussion in order to find out if they were talking something illicit or if there was a change to the algorithms of X, etc., etc. You remember maybe also the intrusion into the elections there in Romania and all these things. I mean, you had clearly a lot of people there who are building up paranoia against our parties to say this is really, I believe, how they think. They really be thinking that we are manipulating social media in order to get the votes that we get. They cannot explain to their own mind that people are voting for us because we have the better answer to questions these guys never pose, by the way.
They refuse to answer.
If you permanently refuse to talk about migration, to talk about the Green Deal, to talk about the destruction of the car industry, to talk about all these topics, obviously you end up where these guys will, and that will in the bin and the trash can of history. And it's not because of manipulation of social media that we are where we are. No matter if you look to France, if you look here, if you look at Denmark as well, maybe Hungary is not such a good example right now, but we leave that out. If you look at all the other parties, we are on the rise here. And that is because people need us, and people know that they need us, and people know that we offer the answers. And it's not because we manipulate X or Facebook or whatever.
But von der Leyen designed the Digital Service Act and all the civil servants behind and around it to manipulate the communication, the way democracy changes,
surely they put
exchanges ideas.
Also to these companies and forums.
That's what I'm saying. They destroyed the principle of democracy by manipulating the information that people can get or can distribute, and that's a sad thing because they use democracy to do this, and they destroy democracy by doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. European Green Deal. The Alternative for Deutschland is an outspoken opponent of the European Green Deal and current German climate policy. The party views this policy as harmful to the German economy. Can you explain that to our viewers?
You have the European Green Deal, which is in force since, or which was starting like 2018. These were the times, maybe you still remember, I have Greta Thunberg running around here in these halls behind us, in these holy halls, when people were still asking her to get selfies, like Manfred Weber, like Ursula von der Leyen, when people were gluing themselves onto the streets because they realized how important the climate was and how bad CO2 was and all these things. So she came up with this plan to decarbonize our societies and our economy. So you may ask the first question. If I say that carbon dioxide, like other gases in our world, are a global problem, we obviously have to face this problem on a global way and not only in Germany or the European Union. So this was the first big problem. Who is profiting from all this? So I do the small steps very quickly. So that led, for example, to the fact of putting farming and agriculture into the focus, how to reduce emissions there, that put housing into the focus, how to isolate the houses in a better way, that put, for example, our carbon-driven power plants. Carbon is one of the few resources we have in Germany into the focus and shutting these ones down. Maybe you have heard about the case in Hamburg, where we had a power plant that was not even 2 years old, cost more than €1 billion, and was directly destroyed afterwards because it was against these regulations, etc., etc. And surely in my personal focus, I am from the region where Audi is from, it is the car industry. Imagine you're a good tennis player. We had very good normal combustion engines. You're a good tennis player. You're the best tennis player in the world. I'm your trainer and tell you now you're starting to ride horses. And that was exactly the same. You have very good carbon combustion-driven cars, and suddenly you have to switch to electrical cars. Completely stupid. Chinese were very strong on that one. So you see they have certain countries in the world, like China, for example, they will have benefits. 80% of the windmills you see around here, that the value chain goes to China. 80% of that. In solar panels, it's even worse. In the car industry, it will be similar. BYD is growing enormously here. So these were all very unpragmatic, very stupid, very ideological solutions to a problem that doesn't exist in that way. If it exists, we have to tackle it on a global level. Paris Agreement, that's bullshit. Yeah, nobody really believes in that nonsense. So this is one thing, we're hurting ourselves for an ideology that will, in the end, not improve global climate. So we are completely against it. We oppose it. We want to get away from the Green Deal. I don't want to have now 90% of CO2 emissions in the cars. And let's get rid of this nonsense. Let's get rid against of the ETS system, for example, of the CO2 certificates. This is harming us. It costs us money. We are in a time of inflation right now. We are in a time of economic crisis. I don't have money and jobs to put in these dream worlds.
Understand. Gerolf?
We're getting out of time.
At the end of every program, we have a dilemma, but I'm going to keep it short today. So I'm going to ask you something. Some people say it's very important. Some people say it's not important, but I'm going to ask it, okay? So what do you prefer? Apfelstrudel, Berliner Bollen, Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte oder ein Stück belgische Schokolade? Ein Stück.
Okay, I have to make it alive outside of this building, so I probably should go for the chocolate, but my heart would tell me
Apfelstrudel. You like the chocolate, Belgian chocolate?
I like chocolate, yes.
Okay, I think you guys too. Belgian chocolate, that's the most important thing. Eh?
If it's Flemish.
If you didn't ask me for beer, I would have even said yes.
I had my doubts, so I did it with the chocolate thing, but whatever. Okay, Markus, it was very nice to meet you. It was very nice to having you here. And it was a very transparent talk. Thank you very much. Goed, dat was het voor vandaag. Ik hoop dat u ook dit keer heeft genoten van Europese gesprekken met Barbara en Gerolf. Heel graag tot de volgende.